everyone, it's Shah. I'm sharing a journal with you today, a swap journal. I did a swap with the lovely Kathleen Sunday, and I've had an email from Kathleen to say that she has received it. So I'm just going to share that with you today. Normally I'm doing a voiceover because I did the video and I had my fan on and it was making a noise through the video. So I've decided to do a voiceover to explain it all to you. Normally I would just play some music, but I just wanted to go through the journal with you and what I've done. So it's one of my layered journals, and I know that Kathleen likes botanicals, so I've done my style of botanical with lots of layering, laces, botanical fabrics, dyed papers, some digitals, and I've also used some botanical books that I have throughout the journal. So I've tied it with some sari silk. It's a simple sari silk tie. It is a fairly organic journal. I wanted it to be so it's got two. As you can see when I'm turning it around there, I've used some antique book plates, and I've connected them with some botanical style or floral style tapestry to connect the two. The journal has got two signatures, and the first one is a fabric and lace signature, and the second signature is papers and lace together. So that's the sari silk. It was a bit delayed sending it to Kathleen. It was a bit of an anxious wait, but I was waiting for that sari silk to come. I was completely out of it, and the bits that I had left didn't suit the journal. So I'm really happy that it came, and I could add it to her journal because I think it just finishes it off perfectly. So yeah, it's so turning it around, the book plates, I've connected them with that fabric, and it's an antique book from the 1800s, and it's the book plates, and it's a book about music. It's nothing to do with botanicals, but it just had that nice marking and some foxing on the inside, and that's a side view, the exposed spine that I've used with lots of gauze because some of the pages are larger and some are smaller like I usually do. So I thought that was a nice look. I really like that, and it's yeah, it's to me it's quite organic and tactile, so I'm really pleased with the way it turns out. I hope Kathleen likes it. So I'll just go inside and show you what's inside of the journal. I was just explaining there about the sari. It was a really nice quality, and it's sort of a champagne colour. I'm really pleased with it. So that's the front cover, and I did some crackle pasting there in like a damask style, one of my stencils, just to make it a little bit pretty. I still like to make my journals pretty, yeah, I'm just pointing out there that it's got some nice indents in it, some nice almost like embossing. It's a fabric cover, and yeah, the book was falling apart, so it was ideal for doing this. I like to use them this way. And that's the little cabochon. It's got a butterfly and some French script on it, and I've attached it with a eyelet, Tim Holtz eyelet, and my crocodile on some really chunky chain there, so in the corner, just for some interest. And then the side is this gorgeous tapestry that I've sewn some of the signatures in that way, or I've sewn pieces in to make it sturdy. There's the damage, but it's not bad damage. I think it looks quite funky. I think I quite like that, and it shows that it's got age on it. It's not damaged. It's not damaged too bad. It's still sturdy. So inside that cover, I've made a small journal, and I put some lace pockets, lace on the top, and that's the inside of the cover. You can see all the foxing there just where my hand was, and I've made a little pocket out of some lace there for the journal. I've made a baby journal. I've made the spine quite sturdy. I've put a lot of gauze and pieces of fabric in there so it's nice and strong, and I'm just explaining you the inside. And then this is a little journal. I've made a little "This book belongs to" a tag there, and what I've done is I've used one of the pianola roll boxes that was damaged, um, and because I've used a bit throughout the journal, and I made that part into a little tag for the front of the baby journal. I'm just showing you now the boxes. Some of the boxes I've got are quite damaged, like this one, but I used a better one. I used a not so bad one for the tag, and put some lace on the side, and yeah, it's a unique little tag, and for the front of the book. And then the baby journal, once again I've got the sari silk just tied around, and it fits in that lace pocket, and I'll just go inside and show you that. So the cover is a Kaiser Craft, just a paper stock. I've stamped a piece of old linen there with a botanical flower, and I've put a vintage button there. On the back I've used the edge of the pianola roll where they tie the rolls together, and I've stitched that on there with the little eyelet. It's a very vintage look, and I thought it looked really nice on that little journal. And I've also got some of the paper, the piano roll paper there. And I've done a lot of stitching. I've stitched all around the edges to reinforce it. And then the piece of paper, I folded it up, and it had numbers, those numbers. So I've glued them to the side, and I've put a little a metal corner on the little journal for interest. And then inside the journal, I've got a fold up there, like I said, and I've collaged some tags for the front and the back, and they're very similar. And I've used some snippets of lace, a little botanical tag on a tag, and I've done a lot of stitching on there. And I've got some of the piano roll paper on there. And then to go through the book, I've got various snippets of papers. I've done some stamping. I've got some old ledger, original page. I've got some of my the ends of some of my stained papers that dyed papers that I make. That's a part out of a magazine, which was a botanical, not a magazine, a botanical book. And I've used those pages in there, and then just some coffee dyed papers, some stamping, snippets of paper that I've had left over from projects, and then more of the same, all different sized pages, lots of journaling spaces, lots of places to tuck things. And then in the middle here, I've got this beautiful half a doily that was gifted to me by somebody, and it's I just thought it fitted. It was really nice to be putting in the middle of this. It's a very old doily, and I've joined the two strings from the signature and put a key on the bottom there. On that signature, it's just sewn in there, and just more of the same. More of those magazine botanical book pages, some stamping, some interesting patterns on the this particular paper. This one here, I really love that. I thought it suited the botanical theme really nicely, and they're just offcuts of some of the dyed papers that I make. And then yeah, more of the same. They're different on each side. I love that, the way they turn like that. That's the other side of that vintage journal page. I just folded it in, and then I've got a tag at the back there, the butterfly on it, and some collaging. And yeah, that's the baby journal. So yeah, I'm just figuring out how I tied that. I'm used to tying a little bow, but I thought it was too bulky, so I did a tucking like that. And, it fits in the journal very nicely that way. Okay. and that just tucks back into that little bit of that little lace pocket that it's all stitched around the edge. It's quite sturdy. It's just a bit of interest in there. And then that's the first page of the fabric pages. I've done a lot of collaging on some gauze, and I've used a lot of lace, some doilies, some piano roll music, little velvet flower, a big butterfly, and I've put some corrugated board there to bring him out, just make him stand out a little bit. And then yeah, just explaining there how that and I've used some pattern paper there too. I've just put a little fragrance sachet there for Kathleen. She can take that out if she wants to, and I've just got some French fabric there. And on this page I've got a really nice botanical print, like a linen fabric, and I've just done some collaging with lace, a little collage at the top with some vintage buttons, and yeah, that page I've got old vintage doily and some more lace all stitched on. This is the start of the second signature, and I've just got some big keys tied there with the sari silk in there. And that's the first page, and I've got a nice big piece of lace going across there, and I've stitched it all around, double stitching the page, and I've got a little vintage cigarette card up there that I thought matched, and I've used it as a tab on that first page. So I think that's really nice, and yeah, just finish that part off. And then that's the back of the page, and it is quite glossy, but I think it's like a really nice gloss. I thought it was really pretty actually, so that's why I chose that one. It was very vintagey on one side, and then the other side was quite, you know, a little bit modern, I think, but still fits in with the theme. A little bit of bling. I think that's really nice. I put some lace in the signature there in the corner there to reinforce it. Then I've got an embossed card, and I've layered up like a vintage pot of flowers there. Yeah, and I've stained it all, and then I've got some lace put on the other side. I've done the back of the card with some old vintage paper. I've got some lovely lace. That side's a very old music sheet, and I've done a really nice collage. And I've got another one there, a very simple one, but I've got some, I'm just pointing out there, I put some medical tape on there because there were some rips and tears, and you know, and it's got a dream of spring, so I thought that music page was very appropriate for this journal. The other side, I've got another little dangle there, it's like a little magnifying glass, and that's a digital, and I've sewn it together with that page and the page on the other side, and I've put that little magnifying glass in with a eyelet and some of that chain again, and that's really nice botanical page. They've got some dyed coffee papers and some of that tapestry as a tab. This side I've got some very fine lace and some of the die cuts there I've done with the plants up the side, and I've put some of that sentiment from the some of the words from the pianola roll, and that's a really delicate little piece of linen lace handkerchief that I've got there. And then the other side, I've put another a William Shakespeare saying with a plant on it, and I've sewn it all. I've done some sewing around the edges. Got a bit of a music page there, only because I like the staining on the page. It's naturally stained, and I thought it looked nice, and I've sewn the edges. And then on the other side, I've got another one of those die cuts. When we get to the other side, I've got some more die cuts that I've put on there. That's out of that botanical book, one of the pages. I thought that was that looked really nice in there. And then I've got a vellum page and a long sticker, a long tag, and then I've got which I've decoupaged, not decoupaged, I've collaged, and I've put a nice tab on the top, and I've done some stamping, and I've put another one of those die cuts on there, and I've sewn all around the edge. That's a really gorgeous coffee stain paper, one of my favourites, and I've put a piece of wallpaper for a tab pull and a bit more of that linen hanky over the top of it. And that's the other side. That's a piece of parchment paper, and I've put a nice little cluster there as a tab pull, and then the other side I've got like a herb page of all the vintage herbs, and I've got some lace for a tab there. That's the other side of the magazine page. Oh, that's the one, yeah, that's the herb page, and then the other side here, that's a beautiful from another magazine or botanical book, and I've done a ruffle of some botanical fabric down that page, and yeah, and then the other side has got a flower on it. So these pages had some buildings, some pencil building drawings and birds and flowers. It's Australian plants and flowers and buildings. I've got an old receipt there, original receipt with the French writing on it, and I folded it out, and I left the side with the writing. I didn't put anything on that. And then I've got a fussy cut of a botanical plant, and I've got a couple of little journal cards there that I've put the die cuts on the back there. I thought they would look nice with the journal. And then the other side, more coffee dyed paper, small clusters that I've layered up, and lots of stitching. And that side's a very, very frail book page. It's not pertaining to anything botanical, but it just looks great. It's really old book that I've got, and I've put a cluster up the top there, a collage of lots of things, and I've got some pretty netting in there to reinforce the spine there with that page. I didn't want it to rip, so I've put that in there. Then I've got a pianola roll paper on as a tab on that I keep saying magazine, but a botanical book. Piece of that French fabric on some coffee paper, some heavily dyed coffee paper. Some other book page. I think it's to do with algebra. Really, I don't know. I just like the colour of it. It just sort of sat very well there. And I've got a piece of I've tea dyed that chiffon fabric there. It's very soft for a tab pull. A tab on the side, and nothing to do with botanical. And then I've got a pink and coffee stain just for a bit of interest there, and I've sewn around the edge. It's graph paper, and I've turned it up to make it a pocket. And I've got some little journal cards. That's a seed packet, and I think I've got something in that one. Yes, I've got a little journal card in there, and the other one is it's got a bee on it, and yeah, that's from the Graphics Fairy. I think those ones there, most of the digitals. Another one of those sayings on a page, and I've backed that with some pianola roll, and that's the other side of the botanical book with the flowers. Very pretty. They're sort of watercoloured. This is a Tim Holtz paper stock page, and I've done quite a big collage on there. And I think yeah, I've used some book page. I've used some fabric on the back, a long piece of lace, and lots of things there, hydrangea, and I'll just you can see the stitching, and I've used some of that paper there, and that's that fabric. I put a piece of that fabric in the middle and a doily. It's really pretty fabric, and doily in the middle, and then we go to the other half. I've reinforced that doily with the tape because they're very flimsy. so it is a paper doily. So just so it didn't rip or anything, I've put that in there. And then I've got the other sides coming now, and it's a mirror image basically. That's the same collage. I've just moved it up a little bit on the page. Some more of that book page, some more sayings with some botanicals. That's a poem about spring I found in one of my very old books, and I've put one of the die cuts up the side. It's the other side of that heavily dyed page. Same thing. I've got a seed packet. And I don't think there's anything in that seed packet. I've done some stamping, and there's a vintage a journaling card there. And it's all stitched around the edge, and then I've used some of that fabric in the spine too, and I've got some really old lace there as a tab, and that's another page with that French fabric. I've got a piece of lace there, and that's one of those pages with the old buildings, the old houses. So that's I thought that was really nice. It is black and white, but it's got a lot of plants in there. It is from a botanical book. So I thought that looked really nice there, those pages. And then that's the other side of it. That's so pretty. That's like a watercolour page, and that's that knitting with the flowers on it. And that's a cluster somebody sent to me actually, and I've added to it. So I just love the button on that. It's a really old button, and I added some layers to that just to put on. I didn't want to make it too heavy because that page is very frail. I've got a pull tab with that fabric and some ticking, and there's the other side of that. I've left the holes in that ledger sheet. I just really like that. There's some more ephemera. I've made a envelope out of one of those book pages, and I've got that on with one of the Tim Holtz bulldog clips. Down a bit. I was just saying I really like those holes. I didn't want to cut them off. And then that's another page of that book, a gorgeous image on there. The other side, and I just got some lace on there, some I've dyed, but that's a gum tree, and up in the left hand corner there, it's a really special page because there's a koala, one of our koalas. So I just thought Kathleen's in Canada, and I just thought she'd like to see that. One of our koalas up there that haven't had a good time of it lately in the fires we have. So I put that there as a little thing from Australia. And yeah, I've used some pattern paper there, some lace and some collaging. And that's that wallpaper. I'll put some lace on there. And that's the other side, and I've got a vellum pocket. Again, the other side of the vellum, same thing. I'll put a die cut and some stamping. And I've made a tag to fit with lots of collaging of different things on there, and I've put a little seam binding bow at the top and stitched it all around the edge. And then the next page is the other page of that book page, and that another nature saying there. And this page is quite heavily. Now this page has got a book spine that I've put on the edge from an old book, from that book I actually had. So I've used the book plates on. I've put some die cuts, some pattern paper, some music. I've put lots of things on that page. It's very heavily collaged, and that is, I've stitched that spine onto there. Some lace along the bottom, put a tag. It's really pretty. And then some more coffee dyed paper or tea dyed, I can't remember which. And then I've got a piece of cards, paper craft card, and I've got a rusty paper slide there, but I always put them on paper or some fabric. I've got it on a piece of silk there, and then it doesn't get on your, I do spray them usually, but these were some I didn't spray, and it doesn't get on your paper or on your fabric, then it goes on that. So Kathleen can take them out if she wants to, if she doesn't want to use those. So yeah, I've just got to flip out. I've got a piece of the pianola page, and I used a piece that's got the little stamp on it from where it came from, which is in Sydney, Australia. So I thought that was nice to put there. And I've just put a little vintage journaling card there, and a die cut on the little flip out. And the little envelope has got, I think I've got I think it's like a lavender card, that's what it is, and I've stitched it all. I've embossed it all, and that just goes there to hold in that, sort of holds that card in place then, because I didn't stitch down the edge. But like I say, Kathleen can take that off if she wants to. And that's the other side of the music page, in a big cluster with some hydrangeas and laces. And then I've used that, that's beautiful, that gauze. That's someone gifted me that, Jude from New Zealand gifted me that. I only got a little bit of that left. It's absolutely gorgeous, that gauze. It's very old. And I've made a big cluster there, a big collage there of laces and fabrics. And then I've got a postcard for the last one of the last pages, and I'm not sure until I turn it over. Oh yeah, and then I've got some tapes, some die cuts, some washi, just a collage of all those things there. And it's quite inked, that page, and that's the back cover there with that lovely paper, and you can see the spine there, you can see what I've done. And I've just got a little bit of a signature at the back there in one of the die cuts, and that's the journal. So yeah, it just closes up. It is like, it's not one of those hardcover books that doesn't move, but yeah, I'm hoping that I hope you like it, Kathleen, and I just wanted to go through it and explain it to everybody. So yeah, I'll be getting that off in the, well, I've got it off in the post to you. I know you've got it now. So because I had, like I said, I had done the video for it, waiting for you to receive it, and then when I played it back, yeah, I could hear all this noise through, and you could hardly hear me talking. So I had to do it in a voiceover style of thing, which is probably better in a way. So yeah, that's the journal, and I hope you love it. And yeah, thank you everybody for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my video. And yeah, and I hope you love the journal. I've probably said that a few times, but yeah, thanks everybody, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.